Well, good news for Buccaneers fans. Tom Brady back at practice on Monday. His stint on The Masked Singer apparently over. Unconfirmed stint on The Masked Singer, by the way. I'm just saying. Will Brinson explained the theory to us on Friday. Apparently he was in the Bahamas. He's been away for the past 11 days with a personal issue. It was planned well in advance, not health-related. Of course, in 2021, he led the league in passing yards and touchdowns, but of course was not the MVP. As you look at some of the regular season records that Brady has added to his own record book. 485 completions, which is a record. Pass attempts, second in NFL history. You see the passing yards there. Some saying he could get close to that again. And 43 passing touchdowns, which led the NFL. All right, let's have a chat about Brady's return with NFL analyst and Pick Six podcast regular Ryan Wilson. Ryan, if there was anyone who doesn't need training camp reps, it's Tom Brady. The Bucs play their preseason finale against the Colts on Saturday night. How much Brady do you think we're going to see, if any?
Jeremy, here's why people have lost faith in the media. You're citing Will Brinson, our colleague, as a source of where Tom Brady's been hanging out. Although the Masked Singer story is a fun one to tell, I think it is more likely that, according to the other report, not brought to you by Will Brinson, is that Tom Brady was in the Bahamas with his family, taking family time, nothing serious. Apparently, like most guys in their mid-30s right before the school year starts. So that part makes sense. The other part is he's an NFL quarterback, the best player ever, who just decided to up and leave for 11 days in the middle of training camp. Sort of weird, but again, this is Tom Brady. How much is he going to play? I would hope zero. I don't think he needs any reps. I hope he doesn't see the field at all during the preseason because there's no reason to put him out there. He's as familiar as he's going to be with the players on this team, going back to his first day there a few seasons ago when he led him to the Super Bowl. So I don't think there's any real urgency to get him out there. If you're willing to let Tom Brady go on vacation during the dog days of August, there's no reason to see what he's up to in terms of his on-the-field productivity. My only question is this happening under Bill Belichick? I know the answer to that question, but it's just something to think about because I think the real winner here could be Bruce Arians if this thing goes sideways somehow. It seems to never do that with Tom Brady. And the loser could be Todd Bowles, who took this on with the understanding that his quarterback would be there, and then he up and went on vacation right before the season starts. All in all, it'll be fine. They played in a bad division. I'm not worried.
Ryan Harris earlier today was talking about the fact that maybe Brady needs to provide a little explanation to his teammates. I mean, do you agree with that? And as you alluded to, I mean, if this is Belichick, this is not happening. Brady's not going on vacation for a couple of weeks while training camp is on. Do you think that there might be any tension there and that maybe Brady does need to talk to his teammates?
No, Ryan makes a great point, and he's been in NFL and college locker rooms at the highest level, so he would certainly understand the expectations of the leader, and the leader's always going to be the quarterback. Maybe Brady's already sent out those texts or had those conversations. If he hasn't, I feel like he probably should. You know, we talk about setting an example for the younger players. That would be at the top of the to-do list, you know, right before not taking an 11-day vacation to go to the Bahamas, allegedly, in August, but here we are. So hopefully he has that conversation. But again, you get leeway when you're the greatest of all time that other players who are on the roster bubble, for example, may not get. But I think Ryan's exactly right that conversation probably should be had just in terms of having the respect level be at the same level on both sides as we head into the season.
I mean, it seemed like everything was pretty jovial. I mean, the video of Brady coming back, not necessarily good for television, but it's out there. You can certainly see it on social media. It seemed like everything was okay. So, all right, let's move along. According to reports, the Ravens have offered quarterback Lamar Jackson more money than what the Cardinals gave Kyler Murray. That number was $230.5 million. But reports also say a deal is not imminent. So what's holding things up here, Ryan?
It's pretty simple. The guaranteed money that Deshaun Watson got from the Browns, our Joel Corey, who's been an agent long before he joined the media, spoke about this recently, and he wrote about it for CBS Sports. That guaranteed money, that contract that got a lot of people, at least owners and general managers, fired up that the Browns gave Deshaun Watson, certainly is a sticking point for the Ravens and Lamar Jackson. Yes, it's great that they're offering him more money than Kyler Murray, who on paper makes a little bit more than Deshaun Watson, but he only has half as much of that guaranteed money, right around $108 million or so. You see the $230 million guaranteed going towards Deshaun. That's a number that Lamar is hoping to get close to. And you could argue that Lamar has been more successful than Deshaun, certainly more successful than Kyler Murray during the course of his career, and he's incredibly important to that offense and how they run it in Baltimore. You can't just stick in some quarterback, quote-unquote, traditional pocket passer and expect to have the same offense run. They do have Tyler Huntley, who can do some of the things Lamar does, but he's clearly not Lamar. And you see the list of players here in terms of their salary. He could be north of Kyler, but is it going to be guaranteed? It could be somewhere between Kyler and Deshaun. Will it be guaranteed? Those are the questions you have to answer. The other thing, Jeremy, to keep in mind is that Lamar says once the season starts in about 20 days, he's done with the contract conversation. So a lot has to get done in a short amount of time. And oh, by the way, Lamar also happens to be his own agent. So he's doing double duty. During the day, he's playing quarterback. He has to figure out the agent stuff after hours.
Yeah, and you see the lower there. I mean, it says they're facing an uphill battle in terms of getting a deal done. How confident are you that they can get a deal done before he cuts off talks with the season beginning?
I'll put it at 55% a deal gets done. John Harbaugh understands how important Lamar Jackson is, and you don't want your quarterback going into the final year of his rookie deal not being happy, especially given at the level at which he's played. And there's an argument to be made that, look, Kyler Murray pouted and got what he wanted. Kyler Murray isn't the player that Lamar Jackson is, at least not yet. Lamar did all the right things, and he's still waiting around to see how this plays itself out. So that could be a lesson for other quarterbacks that come down the pipe. I think if you're the Ravens, you get this thing done and get as close as you can to what Lamar wants, and perhaps Lamar can compromise a little bit as well.
All right, 55%, Ryan says, in terms of getting a deal done before the season starts. Other quarterback news, the Carolina Panthers made it official. They named Baker Mayfield the starter for the upcoming season, which means he is going to face his former team in Week 1. This is not breaking news. We were expecting this. So, I mean, does this make any Panthers fantasy options a little bit more appealing? I mean, are you surprised at this? We were kind of expecting it, as I said.
Right. This is the news would be that Baker didn't win this job and Sam Darnold did. It would mean that Sam Darnold's playing better. They traded for him last year, gave the second-round pick, and Darnold just didn't work out, and that's the reality of it. You can blame injuries, you can blame whatever you want. They went after quarterback again this offseason. They landed on Baker after they couldn't get Deshaun Watson, and he wins the job. That makes sense. And it's funny you mention what this means for a fan base and for the fantasy options, because I've spent way too much time on the Pick Six podcast with John Breach and Will Brinson, and they're both trying to talk me into the idea that the Panthers aren't going to be terrible. I mean, I've seen this team play for 2 years. They've been not great, to put it politely. I do think Baker helps. They have a young defense that has a chance to make some strides this year. They have some playmakers on offense. Christian McCaffrey has to stay healthy. They drafted Ike Ekwonu along the offensive line. He's going to start from day one, it looks like. And you have a quarterback who, when he's in the right frame of mind, can make some plays. So all those things point to an opportunity to certainly win more football games. Not in a great division. Is 7 wins on the table? That feels like the upper end. I think the 6.5 is where we're at in Vegas. I'm still not sold on this team going to the playoffs, but I think they'll be better, and I think Baker makes them better, and I like the fact they went out and got him when they did.
And some of the breaking news at the top of the hour, Giants rookie pass rusher Kayvon Thibodeau dodged a major knee injury on Sunday night in their game against Cincinnati. I've seen different things as to whether the legal chop was dirty or whether it was not. First of all, what's your reaction to the fact that the Giants are going to be missing him for possibly the first couple weeks of the season?
It's a huge blow. There's a reason they drafted him early in the first round, along with Evan Neal, to help that team on both sides of the ball. You can see the play here. Again, Pete and B-Mac talked about this from Minnesota. This isn't a dirty hit. It is legal. You touched on that, Jeremy. And Thibodeau has to be ready playing that in position. You can't turn sideways. Thank God he didn't get hurt long term. That looks like an ACL when you see it live. Thank God it's just an MCL strain. So 3 to 4 weeks is great news. But they have Azeez Ojulari, who they drafted last year in the second round out of Georgia. Had a really good year last year. They need someone on the other end. Kayvon Thibodeau was going to be that guy. He's played really well to this point. They're going to miss him for the first 3 or 4 weeks. Hopefully they can get him back, and he'll be ready to go 100%. But this is it to the defense that needed guys to get after the quarterback.
Yeah, it's good that he's not seriously hurt, and certainly a learning moment for him as he's going to experience those kind of blocks numerous times throughout his NFL career. All right, a day after claiming tight end Kendall Blanton off waivers, the Washington Commanders have activated Logan Thomas off the PUP list. Like, good news for the Commanders. Only played 6 games last season before tearing his ACL, but he appears on track to return.
Yeah, you know what's interesting? The hit that knocked him out last year in November was a similar type hit that we saw on Kayvon Thibodeau, but coming from the other side of the ball. It was Yannick Ngakoue put that low hit on him inside the tackle box, which again is legal. Unfortunately, Logan tore his ACL. He is back now. You mentioned he only played 6 games last year. The year before, though, 110 targets, 6 touchdowns. He is incredibly important in the middle of the field. He's a red zone target. John Bates, the other tight end, has had hamstring issues. Cole Turner has missed some time. The rookie they drafted out of Nevada hasn't played the last few weeks as well. So they had extreme, serious depth issues at the tight end position. Logan Thomas is back. He can now work with Carson Wentz, who he hasn't seen a lot of on the field, and they can go from there. We know about the playmakers, Terry McLaurin, even Jahan Dotson, who they drafted, Curtis Samuel. Now Carson Wentz, gets that tight end back in Logan Thomas. And Logan Thomas is 31, and he came into the league, Jeremy, as a quarterback out of Virginia Tech with the Cardinals. He transitioned to tight end, and he's been quietly one of the best players at that position over the last 3 or 4 years.
Commanders open the season week 1 hosting Jacksonville, of course, in terms of strength of schedule. They have one of the easiest schedules, if not the easiest, in the NFL for the 2022 season. All right, week 2 of the preseason wraps up tonight. Falcons and the Jets, 2 teams that are projected to win as many games combined as the Rams are by themselves. Now, Falcons favored here by 2.5, Ryan. What are you watching for in this one tonight?
I don't know if George Fant's going to play or play a lot, but he's making the transition from left tackle to right tackle. He's played there before since Mekhi Becton got hurt. They signed Dwayne Brown, who's about to be 38. That's an issue for the Jets. We'll see how that works out, as well as Joe Flacco. We'll see if he gets any time at all. But he's going to be the old veteran gunslinger there with Zach Wilson out for a few more weeks. Breece Hall in the backfield, their second-round pick. See how he does, because he's certainly got to keep it on the other side of the ball. Desmond Ritter was drafted in the 3rd round. He was quite angry that he went that low. Many considered him first-round talent. I thought perhaps he'd go on day 2. That's where he ended up going. Had a really good debut against Detroit. The numbers weren't necessarily there all the time, but he made some good plays, and I think he's going to build on that. And that'll be something to keep an eye on. Tyler Algier as well, the running back at BYU. They need help at running back. He offers that, and that's something I will be watching as well. I think I'm going to take the Falcons in this game. Again, we're talking about preseason football. The coaches haven't even said who's playing or for how long in terms of the starters. And I'll go over because both teams scored. We're in games last week that scored 45 or more points. 38 seems about right. I think we'll see some offense early, and I'll go over that 30 at number 2.
Both teams home for week 1. Jets will host Baltimore. Atlanta will host New Orleans. The Baltimore and the Jets game is a game you can see on CBS. CBS Sports HQ NFL analyst Ryan Wilson joining us. Thanks very much, Ryan. Good to see you. And of course, you can hear more from Ryan and the guys from the Pick 6 podcast on the Pick 6 podcast. You can download and follow wherever you get your podcast audio. It is week.
Do you want a sports network that delivers everything that matters about the game? The highlights, the picks, the instant analysis, no yelling, no fake debates, no politics. Hit the subscribe button and never miss a moment.